Thanks for joining me, Mike here. In today's video, some important follow-ups to my hand setting tool review, responses to your viewer comments, one crazy vintage wristwatch from 1937, and a stupid workbench trick that I use all the time because, well, I'm frugal. For those of you who don't know, YouTube doesn't let you replace a video that's already gone live. You can only delete it and re-upload it. But you lose the comments and any traction with views and indexing in the search engines. So I thought I'd put out a short video to act as a supplement to my prior video, and while we're here, chat about some things that I hope you find interesting. Let's dig in. I recently published a video going over everything you might want to know about purchasing and using a hand setting tool. I got great comments, great feedback, but some of those comments surprised me, and surprised me in a good way. So let me share those comments with you, and then we can take a look, because this definitely didn't make it into the last video. Weppington Hardcastle 8199 writes, you know, if you unscrew that top cap, you get additional tips for your plungers, right? Usually if it came with metal tips, the plastic tips will be under the cap and vice versa. Next one. Hi Mike, great video as usual. I purchased my hand press, ... Did yours come with a spare set of pins? They're stored in the little container at the top. I said as I was reading these comments. So I went and I took a look, and let me share that with you now. Indeed, this is not just a column. Why, it's a removable cap. And under this removable cap, look at that. Additional presser tips. So my hand presser came with metal tips installed, and if we dig in, I didn't even know these were here. There's replaceable plastic tips if you're in a situation where you don't want to accidentally scratch your hands as you're reinstalling them. So thank you to my viewers who pointed this secret compartment out. If you hadn't have told me, I don't know how long I would have gone on using this without knowing that these are here. BW9197 writes, Mike, the plungers are red, silver, gold, and blue. Are there any specs on the tip size? Great question. So let me first address that I rearranged my plungers so they descend in order of size. Gold, red, silver, blue. This is the largest, medium, small, and then the blue is the smallest, and this is the one that has a solid tip, not a tip with a hole in it, which is great for second hands. As far as the sizes, I've measured all of the tips, and I'll just lay these out. From big to small, the metal tips are one set of diameters, and the plastic tips are similar, but slightly different sizes. Leave this up for a second. You can go back to it or screen grab it for future reference, and thank you for your question. I hope that information was helpful. Okay, while this is out, there's another small matter that I just wanted to correct from that last video. Let me set this up. In the last video, I wanted to remove this silver cup that elevates the dedicated movement holders, and I wanted to be able to remove this cup to make a flat surface so I could use a regular watch movement holder. And I ended up popping this off from underneath. It's just friction fit in there. One of the ways of pressing it back into place that I had suggested was to swing the plungers out of the way. Once they're out of the way, then you could take a dowel and tap straight down on here. And one of the things that I demonstrated was that you can swing this out of the way if you remove that retaining screw. You actually don't need to remove this screw to move this head out of the way. If you lift up, it will turn, but you just need to know that this spring-loaded little piston here will want to shoot out, so make sure you keep a finger on there. But that's just how easy it is to swivel this out of the way, and then when you want to put it back in place, lift, tuck that little bullet back in there, and there you go. Now you have those stops back in place, and business as usual. Also, since this is a high friction point, if you want to put a little bit of grease right on the tip there, maybe that will help you get a little bit more life out of your tool. Quick break for a wrist check. On this hand, I have my Apple Watch, and on this one, I have my early 1970s Omega Genève. I've really been enjoying wearing this watch. It keeps perfect time, it's comfortable, I think it's great looking. I'll put a link to a playlist that has a couple of videos about this project if you'd like to check it out and learn what it's like to service an Omega Genève. I can't emphasize enough how much I appreciate you spending time watching my videos and then giving me feedback and having a conversation in the comments. Every now and then I get a favorite comment, and I want to share this one with you because this one was awesome. First, let me set it up. A couple of videos ago, I completely tore apart this Rado Diastar. I was fascinated by the materials. This uses a sapphire crystal, and it has Rado's ceramic wings that look like this gold metal on the sides. And for being a battered watch, this thing cleaned up beautifully. And I gained a deep respect for Rado's construction and their construction materials and construction process. Well, funny thing, I don't know, maybe it wasn't funny at the time, but it's funny looking back on it. I'm going to hold this over here, and I'm going to put up a before picture of what this watch looked like before I worked on it. See any differences? Okay, the astute eye will pick up the fact that this dial used to have writing on it. It used to have dirty diamonds and nice writing, and now it has nice clean diamonds and no writing. With that for perspective, I'd like to share this comment. This comes in from Alec at Gentleman's Watch Services. He has his own channel. Go check it out. He does some great watch restorations, and he has a fantastic kind of dry, very witty sense of humor in narrating his watch stories. So I recommend you go check out Gentleman's Watch Services. Alec writes, lovely work and presentation top notch. Thank you. I have a standard 3-step dial restoration process, and I appreciate it when you all share your tips with me. 1. Clean the dial with water/IPA/cleaning solution. It doesn't matter. 2. Make it much worse. 3. Regret. Oh man, when I read that, that was just so near and dear to my heart and so relevant after going through this project. So Alec, thank you for that, and I just wanted to share that with the audience. That was awesome. Thank you for putting a smile on my face. Speaking of smiles on faces, I recently picked up a watch, and this watch is just weird, but I can't help smiling at how weird it is, and I'm just going to show it to you in the its wild form that I acquired it. And this is a fancy Elgin watch from 1937, if you go by the serial numbers. And I've always thought these 1930s, 1940s, 1950s rectangular watches are pretty cool. It's always just been a very classic style that I find myself drawn to. But check out the case on this watch. At first glance, it just seems like a really kind of fancy Art Deco case. Well, when you take a closer look at this. The case is double hinged. So there's a hinge on either side. Give you a top view. These little wings being hinged kind of add to the comfort as it wraps around your wrist. All right, so that's the first thing that really kind of struck me as pretty cool and why I took this watch home with me. Second thing is I kind of dig the prismatic lens on here, the prismatic crystal. It kind of bends the look of the hands. Because of the distortion when a hand passes underneath one of those little prism bumps, it kind of makes it into like a little lightning bolt, so it looks like a Rolex Milgauss with the little lightning bolt hand. So what else do I like about this watch? Well, if you're like me, you like having different types of watch styles in your collection. And this watch, while it looks silver or rhodium plated, this is actually gold filled, and this is white gold. So I don't have any gold fill watches in my collection right now that are white gold. So that's a first for me. Okay, we're gonna pop this open because it has one more party trick inside, and I wanna show you. For all of you that juggle multiple pairs of glasses, well, we know who we are. In this watch, the back of the case actually doesn't come off. It's hinged into the front of the case. And we can remove the movement. I'll show you the back in a second. It is a pretty watch. But check this out. So it has a hinge here, and that opens and closes. And let's see, does it say anything fun on the inside? 14 karat gold filled Winton, Winton, in some very fancy writing. Give you a close-up on the dial, and oh, it's clean. I'm feeling really lucky here. Here's a look at the back of the movement. Elgin, USA, and when I cross-reference that serial number, it comes up with 1937, year of production. It sets, and when you give it a few winds, it definitely wants to run. So this watch shows a lot of potential as a rebuild. This is like my wife's favorite watch ever. So she said, expedite that one for her, please. She'll even watch my video if I do. And as promised, I have one more thing to share with you today. Okay, I want to share a work tip with you that's so stupid simple. I didn't know whether I should post this or not, but it's just like one of those things that every time I use this, it's like I wonder if other people are doing the same thing. So before I do it, I just want to encourage you to share your silly little frugal or shop organization tips that make your day-to-day work just that much easier. Okay, so here's the story. I have lots of different storage containers at my workbench here, and this is a bunch of stacking boxes. I don't know where. I think I got these on Amazon for just maybe $5 a piece, and they are sturdy plastic. They nest, and they seem to be a good size to keep here on my watchmaking desk. So I've got my most commonly used tweezers here. I have a whole bunch of microfibers that as I clean them or get them new, I just kind of stack them in here. And finally, this one is dedicated to paper towel because I am always cleaning things at this desk. If you're into restoring used watches, then cleaning is a huge part of that equation. So this is so silly. This is just so silly, but I'm going to share it anyway. Enter the jumbo roll of paper towels. And I know paper towels are wasteful, so at the very least, I get the select a size, which is these little half sheets. And here's what I do. On a regular basis, take a couple of sheets of paper towel, and I don't know why this is so fun for me, but it's actually kind of zen. Fold it once, nice pair of sharp shears, one snip, two snip. Sounds like the beginning of a Dr. Seuss. Fold it in half again. One, two, and just like that, you have a stack of what for me is the perfect size wipe for a watchmaking area. And just consequently, this just happens to fit, boom, right there into that container where it's easy to access. It's so much better than trying to use a big piece of paper towel or tearing the paper towel off when you go to use it because I find that that just generates lint, and you definitely don't want lint. And if you're wondering, we'll call it 3 inches by 5 3/4 inches. So this container is 6.5, 3 inches wide, and that just seems to be the perfect size. Boom. If they're calling it a half sheet as it's coming off of the paper towel roll, then I guess these are 1/8 sheets. So this is the perfect size for storing these little paper towel 1/8 sheets, and that's all I got for you. Hope you found it helpful. Hey, I'm Mike. The channel's Watch with Mike. I appreciate you watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments in the space below, and I would be honored and flattered if you would consider subscribing to the channel. Until our next time together, be good, be well, be safe, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.